A lot of mights and maybes. Let's break down what the real political stakes are here. We got Richard Socarides, Democratic strategist, was a senior advisor to President Bill Clinton, and Mr. Kevin Madden, Republican political strategist, who's worked for Mitt Romney's campaign, among others. I start with you, Socarides. What is the sell from the president coming to Congress? What's his best bet?
I think the best bet is that this is a historic opportunity to change the way we do business with this country, and we have to keep our eye on the big prize that if the framework results in a binding agreement, which we hope it will, that Iran will agree not to obtain nuclear weapons for a good amount of time, and that is, a game changer in terms of the security of the whole world.
Okay, so Kevin, you heard Richard's point, and he's not alone, that we've heard two completely disparate views of this deal. The critics say, like Netanyahu, it is a historically bad deal. The supporters say that this is history-making, and it could sort of reorder the entire relationship, even in the Middle East. Some of our pundits have likened it to Nixon going to China. How do you see it?
Well, I think the big problem is that there is a trust deficit up on Capitol Hill between the White House and members of Congress. The president has to go and really sell this and the merits of the deal. I think many up there worry that this has essentially enshrined Iran's right to enrich, and some of the facilities that were built illegally still remain in place. So the president, I think one of the big risks that the president took when he announced the deal was that he seemed to throw down the gauntlet, saying that if Congress gets involved, it'll scuttle any chance to get this deal. And I think that's a mistake, because this Congress has shown every time that the president wants to throw down a gauntlet, they have picked it right up. Now, he has signaled a bit more of as Sondland mentioned in her package, that he has signaled a bit more of a cooperative approach. It'll be interesting to see if starting this week and when Congress comes back, that he continues with that approach to go up there and really sell this to a lot of skeptics up on Capitol Hill. And the skeptics are not just, it's not partisan skepticism. There are 9 Democrats up there right now that are co-sponsors on Bob Corker's bill to make sure that Congress reviews this.
You know what the problem is with Corker's bill, though, is that it's not an alternative plan. It's just about sanctions. Kevin, my point of pushback to you is I'm hearing a lot about emotion, a lot about the politics of it, about how he did it. Is that the right basis to evaluate this deal, on how nice he was to you in the process, or is it about having a better plan?
No, it is about the substance. I think, look, that's one of the delicate balances here, Chris, is that the Congress recognizes that the president should have be the sole voice of foreign policy around the globe, but at the same time, they believe that there's a congressional role when it comes to having these sanctions and enforcing or ensuring that that the American people's national security is protected, and that a good deal is gotten instead of just any deal.
Richard, about Senator Corker's bill, the legislation that he's trying to pass, do you think that Congress is meddling, or do they have a right to weigh in on the final product here?
Well, certainly Congress has an important role to play in foreign policy, but what we don't want to do is get in a situation where the president makes a deal. Right now we only have a framework, but we're working towards a deal. We don't want the president to make a deal and then have Congress nitpick it. That kind of thing won't work, and it's never worked in the context of diplomacy. But some of the Republicans, Kevin, the position Kevin is articulating, they kind of want to have it both ways, right? I mean, this is only a framework. It's not a final deal. I would say to Congress and to Kevin and to others who are criticizing this deal now, let's wait and see. Let's see what the final deal looks like. Let's not squander this historic opportunity to make progress and really make the world, the entire globe, a safer place.
Well, a little bit of it is you reap what you sow, right? You isolate Congress, you ostracize them, now you need them, right, because they do have sanction power, and you don't have a great relationship. So it is a balance, as Kevin was saying. But let's listen to what the president has to say, because he's now articulating what his sell is for Congress. Let's take a listen.
What I've said to them is we will not only go through all the details of what the current framework is and provide them updates in terms of how the negotiations go going forward, but we are committed to finding a mechanism for appropriate congressional involvement and oversight.
There you go. Kevin, will that assuage Congress's fears? He says we will find a mechanism. We will include them.
It could. I think one of the big worries that folks up on Capitol Hill had is that there were rumors earlier on that the president was going to take this bill to the UN before he would take it to Congress. But again, I think that was a very different tone than he took when he originally announced the framework. And it'll be interesting to see if they continue with that. It is going to be a very tough job selling this up on Capitol Hill. And again, it's not just Republicans. He's going to have to find ways to peel off Democrats up on the Corker bill. And if he doesn't, there could very well be a veto-proof majority up there if they don't really work to make sure that Democrats come to their side.
As my wife always says, though, tone matters, Allison.
And
so
I hear
you tell us, because the question for you would be easier question for Kevin, but for you, how big is this for the president? If this does not go his way, if he has to wind up going to the P5+1 and saying, I can't get it done, how big a test is this?
Well, it's not really a question of how big it is for the president, but how big it is for us, for all of civilization, for all of humanity. I mean, the struggle to end nuclear proliferation, the struggle to keep other powers, especially dangerous places like Iran, from getting nuclear weapons is one of the most important issues of our time. So if we can't succeed diplomatically here, what are the alternatives? Are we going to go to war with Iran to try to prevent this? I mean, no, everybody who's against this or say they're against it, they have no alternatives. No one's put forth anything. So I think you saw, I'm hopeful because I think you heard in Kevin's last answer a little bit of an opening. I think the president is doing the job he needs to do. I think the talk over the weekend was important. I think he and Congress will come together.
Okay, Kevin, Richard, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Great to see you guys.
Great to be with you.
Let's get over to Michaela.